folks, how you doing? Dave MCRAE here. Welcome to episode 91 of MCRAE Live. The date today is Friday, August the 14th, 2020, 1:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada, and today is a special show. I've got Sean Clark on the show and Christopher Nelson as well. Sean Clark, of course, the head of Convention Convention All-Stars. I think I'm saying that right. And of course, Academy Award winner Christopher Nelson is on the show. They are joining me, ladies and gents. You're here. How you guys doing?
Good. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Had a slight stroke. It's 10 in the morning.
I did say that, right? Convention All-Stars. It's not All-Star.
Convention All-Stars, but
Convention
more
All-Star.
importantly, the host of Horror's Hallowed Grounds. Come on.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The host of Horror's Hallowed Ground. Hallowed
Ground.
Grounds.
In Canada, you might say hollowed. I don't know.
A boot. Yeah, that's right. And of course, the co-hosts, both of you are each other's co-hosts of The Thing with Two Heads, which you guys just started, which is awesome. Let's, because I have no doubt that the chat room is going to be full of, what's going on with kills, man? Let's start with, I
haven't killed anybody. I don't know what that means.
Let's start with The Thing with Two Heads. Like, I mean, how did this come to be? I remember, Sean, when you and I talked the other day, you said that it was actually Chris or Christopher? What do you prefer, Chris?
Whatever you like.
Chris, whatever.
That's not what you told me. You told me you like Christopher.
I prefer Christopher, but you know.
All right.
People,
okay.
You know,
Christopher it is.
See money to his close friends.
Christopher it is. Christopher it is.
Sea dog.
Dog.
Yes. What now, Sean told me that, of course, you were the one that actually sort of came up with the idea for this thing with two heads. What sparked your interest with this?
I think it was because, you know, Sean and I have known each other for a little bit now, and every time we talk, we're always talking about. We get on the phone and we'll end up talking for, you know, a while about this and that and this movie and have you seen this and all this and we have very similar interests as far as you know, toys and music and of course movies and things, and
right.
So we were just always talking about it, and then, you know, ever since I got into the kind of Halloween world or into that, you know, like anyway, world, I've get Google alerts and things. And so then I started watching a little more YouTube shows, you know, things like your show and the Wham guys and you know, Wolfman's Got Nards and all that stuff. You know, a slew of people. And I thought it was fun and I really enjoyed it. And then of course, during this pandemic, a lot of time on your hands, and even though I'm in the shop every day, you know, making something or building something or reading something or watching a movie, you know, I keep pretty busy. I just thought it would be fun. Like I figured, well, why can't we have fun once a week, and Sean and I can get together as friends and as nerds and sit and talk and have fun and hopefully maybe bring some entertainment and levity to fans and
For
people
sure.
out there. So that's kind of how it came about. And so I texted Sean and we went back and forth and he was game for it. And then here we are. So
I think it's so great because, you know, like you just said, I mean, you guys are horror fans and you love horror, but you also bring a different perspective as well, because there's a certain level of experience that you both have, very different, but in the same realm, that you can bring to the table and a different perspective, which I always appreciate because, you know, anytime somebody can come to the table with almost boots on the ground, firsthand knowledge of a specific thing or how something works, you know, within the industry is great, you know, because you can demystify a lot of things that way that a lot of people may actually have backwards, you know what I mean? And that's really, really cool. And Sean said as well that your idea was the name too, The Thing with Two Heads, I think, right?
I give Chris way too much credit, don't I? Jesus. Academy Award winner, right? Might as well.
That's, you know, that's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I can't take. I mean, Yeah, I
You
threw
did?
that out there. But I mean, we were throwing names back and forth. It was hilarious because the way that I work creatively, if that's what you want to call it,
Right.
I throw everything against the wall and, see what sticks and get rid of all the no's first.
Right.
And narrow it down to a solid, confident yes. So
Right.
I remember, texting Sean every 2 minutes going, what about this? What about that? What about this? Because we were like, we got to come up with a name. And Sean would come back and we were like, no. And they were laughable, most of them.
Oh, you know what? Come to think
I'd
of
love
it.
to know what they were.
Yeah, I was about to say we need to do a whole episode just on the dumb names we came up with because
we do.
Because we were obviously at some point just making jokes. We were trying to make each other laugh. So I can't even remember what one of them is. I'd have to scroll through the old texts, but there were some funny ones.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, I think wasn't one of them something? I think one of my ideas was politics, religion, and horror with Chris and Sean.
Exactly.
Two things we don't want to have anything to do with: politics and religion.
Of course, and you never talk about it. Of course, it's just in the name, right?
It was just a joke. Let's immediately piss people off. Anyway.
Yeah, but I don't know why that name popped into my head. I think maybe because I was watching the movie or it came up and I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense because we don't really at the time we really didn't know what it was going to be, and we were gonna just kind of riff, and have everything be spontaneous and improvised, and we didn't really know what the show was, but we knew it had two heads, him and me. So the thing with two heads. So that's why.
No, I love it. I think it's great. Maybe it's because of the word thing, but when I heard the title, The Thing with Two Heads, and I saw, the little logo, I instantly thought of John Carpenter's The Thing, and like it would be something that you would see in that film or something, right? Some creature that's got two heads or something like that or whatever. No, I think it's a great title.
I liked it because I thought Chris looks a lot like Rosie Greer. and I look like the fat white guy in that movie. So I thought that was perfect.
That's the real reason.
Yeah, that's the real reason.
That's the real reason.
I think what I liked about the title after, I kind of sat with it for a night after he brought it up. And I was just like, what I like about it is it doesn't say what the show is. It doesn't pigeonhole us into one specific thing. We can talk. It's not like the horror hour or, something that's like, we have to be horror. We can talk music. We can talk video games. We can talk just toys, nostalgia, whatever we want. But obviously there's going to be a horror anchor because of who we are,
100%. No, I get it. I felt the same way with this channel, like when I started to talk about Halloween and all that kind of stuff, and that's sort of how people found me on here, was because I was talking nothing about about that. When I made the switch to sort of do live shows, I wanted a title that where I can talk about that, and obviously there's going to be a slant towards that, but I might want to talk about something that has nothing to do with horror. So I just used my name and just call it MCRAE Live or whatever. I'm sure although I do notice that most people, if I'm doing a show on Halloween, most people, it gets the most views, obviously. So I definitely know where the demographic lies in terms of the interest, but yeah, no, I feel the same way, and it's great. And you guys are off to a great start. I mean, you're 4 or 5 episodes in, and I've watched every one, and you guys got great chemistry, and it's simple. It's just straight to the point. I love your opening gags where, you have a little joke and then boom, right into the title. I think that's fun. And yeah, I think you guys are off to, do you have, like, for me, because this is not my full-time job, like you guys, I didn't really have a destination. I just needed an outlet because I'm creative and I have opinions and I want to express and I have ideas that I think people might find interesting, but I never really had a destination, and I still don't. Do you guys feel sort of the same way, in terms of, hey, let's do this, but we really don't know where it's going to go. Wherever it goes, it goes?
I think our destination is total domination.
Naturally, of course. Of course.
Go big or go home is our attitude.
Exactly.
Silly me.
And send me free shit.
No. Yeah. He wants free stuff.
Right.
I'm kidding.
No, I don't know. I mean, we're just obviously dealing with being stuck at home. And, because our original idea when we first started talking about this was we were going to get together and do it. Like he was going to come to my house. I was going to come to his house. We were actually going to like interact with our stuff and talk about stuff. And, but then it was like, ooh, pandemic, maybe we should do the Zoom thing. Right. And then we did that, and it's kind of cool. And I kind of like how it works. And, I mean, even when things get back to normal, maybe we'll do some special episodes when we're actually hanging together, but I kind of like the way we're doing it now. I think it works. It's fun. And then, once our lives get back to normal and he's on set 24/7 and I'm at a convention 24/7, we're going to try to do them mobily, and hopefully we'll be able to pull some cool people in with us. Like, oh, hey, I happen to be standing over here by Norman Reedus. Norman, come here for a second, or he's going to be, I happen to be putting makeup on Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie, come here, and that kind of stuff. A cool peek behind the scenes of the world we work in would be kind of cool, So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Or we'll just be in our hotel rooms,
ordering
in your
ordering room service hamburgers, which are the best, by the way.
That's right.
But,
in your robes.
But he's right. He's absolutely right. It'll evolve, and that's another great thing of it being called The Thing with Two Heads, and we can do whatever we want. And
for sure.
But it'll definitely evolve, and we have ideas and thoughts, and we'll see where it goes. But for now, we're having fun. We're enjoying
it's great, because like I said, I mean, you have a pool of talent you can draw from, of course, as guests, which is always great. I mean, obviously it doesn't mean that they'll want to come on, but it's great that you have that opportunity and that connection to toss it out there and see who's interested. And that's cool.
It's actually crazy that we're kind of fighting people off right now. We have people
amazing.
I've got already like 10 people lined up that want to do the show. And I'm like, okay, we need to,
that's awesome.
We need to like, we have Adrienne Barbeau. We just recorded her episode yesterday, I think. Mm-hmm. And so she'll be up next. And then I believe we're going to, I don't know, can I say who the next one is?
Sure. No, hold off on that one.
Oh,
no.
Go ahead. Maybe we should. Because he's already kind of tweeted about it. James Jude Courtney will be on next. The new Michael Myers.
Nice. Yeah. He's I haven't talked to him, but by everything I've heard and people who have, he's a sweetheart of a guy. Absolute sweetheart.
Yeah,
like Nick
rumors.
Castle. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's true. What the fuck am I thinking?
He's the best.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, I remember when we talked the other day, you said that you were about to do the show with Adrienne, and that's great too. Like, I mean, what a long career, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one as well. Like I said, I mean, you got a talent pool that you can pull from, which is great. But I also like too that your shows are, like the first half of your show is you guys, and then you move into the guest, which is always nice too. I like that segue. Which is great.
Yeah, and I kind of am interested in getting more feedback from the fans. If they're, what do they like? Do they like the way it is now, the format it is? Do they want more of me and Chris just bullshitting and less guests? Do they want more guests and less Chris and Sean? Let us know. Because we're learning this as we're going. But so far, it feels like the balance has been good.
Right. So. Yeah. No, I agree. And have you ever thought about, or maybe it's the logistics of it, are you going to keep it to pre-recorded, or would you do it ever live, or would you think about ever doing it live, or do you think there's too many logistics with guests and things that could be said and you want to make sure you have control over that?
I mean, we could do something live, but there is, it is, I feel like we're looser knowing we have a safety net, which is me editing.
Yes.
So we can say whatever we want. And then, because I mean, believe me, there's things we've recorded that I thought were going to be, no worries. And then as I'm editing the episode, I go, ooh, yeah, that could be taken the wrong way. You got to be on pins and needles nowadays. So PC and everything. Maybe I should reel that in.
Right.
So it's, just silly things too. Things that are just silly that you wouldn't think anybody would get their feathers ruffled about. But I'm like, you know what? Just to be safe.
I know.
Although, if you watch the show, we're pretty loose as it is. So
you are, and there's a great chemistry. like I said, and it really feels organic. Like it's really easy to follow and watch, which is great.
Thank you.
You know?
Thanks. Yeah, it's because we hate each other, really.
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
No,
that's
that-
why
we
I
weren't
wanted
going to
go-
talk about that on the air.
All right.
Well,
I'm sorry.
You know, I was kind of hoping you guys would.
No, he's
would get into it.
He's right in that he, you know, we both. That's one of the hard parts about. I'm very opinionated. Sean's very opinionated. We both are very passionate about almost anything and everything we do in our lives, and so you have to be. As much as I hate to censor myself and don't want to do that, and don't, you know, I think you have to be a little careful. I know I am careful.
Both do.
We both have to be careful because we work in a business that, you know, we have reputations and we have to be professional, and, you know, you can't sit there and talk. I can't sit there and tell secrets about actors or secrets about movies, sets that I've been on and things, because then, you know, no one will hire me. You can't do that. And it's unprofessional. It's just not cool. So we try to keep it light, and we again, keep it professional. And I think, I think it's good because there's too much negativity and too much crap going on out there in content that people in the rush to be first.
Right.
We've lost track of what it's like to be truthful. And so I think we're truthful in that, you know, let's just be kind and have fun with it. And that's the whole point, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
No,
and if some guest wants to come on the show and talk about an actor that shit on an actress's floor, that's up to them.
Yeah.
That sounds
as
like
long as we're not the one telling.
That's right. We're just the conduit. We're just the conduit.
That's yeah. I get it. I get it. I mean, I get it. I've been in that sort of situation, and it's hard. You know, it's hard because you are opinionated and you do want to express it, and you do want to feel that you're being true to yourself and not held back. But at the same time, you know, the way things are going, as you know, as I often say, that there's so many sites and outlets now that are competing with each other, and they're, you know, the clickbaits and, you know, all this kind of stuff that, you know, that lack of nuance and context seems to be sort of going away, which is so unfortunate. But no, I get it. I mean, you guys, it totally makes sense, you know, and you know, it's the right approach to take. You know,
and and when you're talking about, I mean, we had, you know, when you're talking about, let's say, a film that hasn't come out, even though I might say something, or Sean, we might say something that doesn't really reveal anything,
right?
Really, but again, it can get taken, misconstrued, taken out of context, become a clickbait headline.
That's right.
And then your phone rings or you get texts, and you just have to be careful. I think it's just being responsible, which I think there's not a lot of responsibility going on out there. And I like that we're responsible about it. And Sean does an amazing job cutting the show and editing the show and making it what it is. So I think, like he said, the freedom to be able to do that, but we're not opposed to going live. I've brought it up, and we'll certainly try it. I would like to, because I also like that scariness of it. Like right now, like right. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm a caged animal.
I hear you. One of the reasons why I went live was because of scheduling, but also because I wanted it to be more interactive for the viewers. You know, and they can tune in, and there's more of a community that you build, and they, you know, I mean, I see people, I mean, I don't know any of these people personally. I've never met them, of course, but I recognize a lot of the community that you see. And one of the things that I always say to them too is that the thing that I think would, you know, for lack of a better word or term, say warms my heart the most is seeing them talking about things in the chat room that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. They're just talking amongst each other, and they're building that community. And I'll see people say, hey, you know, hey, Bob, hey, Jim, you know, good morning, you know, how's the wife? And I'm like, oh, geez, you know, are they friends? Or but there's this whole community that's built, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, it sparks conversation, and it kind of, look, there are people out there that have millions of followers, and they're monetized, and they're making money, and there's all this stuff. We're not unaware of what we are and who we are,
right?
And we're not trying to be anything else other than we're fans, and
that's right.
And we like the community, and I like the movie community, not just horror, but all filmdom and stuff, and music, and so it's fun to be part of that community. That's why I think horror conventions and conventions in this community at large is so tight knit, and is because we all come from this quote unquote island of misfit toys. And I've said this before, like when I was young, it wasn't cool to like horror movies, and it wasn't cool to like heavy metal. And it was a very small niche of misfits, for lack of a better term. And so as time and this has become popular, and it's nice, it feels good to embrace your fans and your friends, and you make new friends, and you find out new art, and you find new music, and you find, it's just a discovery, and it's fun. So why not?
For sure. No, for sure. I agree with everything you've said. So now, Sean, how did you, I know you told me the story about, well, of course, you talked about it with Nick Castle on your show, and forgive me, I can't remember if you did mention this on your show or not, but how did you and Chris how did you get Chris into the convention scene? Christopher into the convention scene, excuse me.
I don't remember. Do you remember, Chris, we've known each other a long time. And I don't recall that conversation, how it just happened. I think
if what I remember right, it was Jude Courtney on the first Halloween, maybe. We like Sean said, we knew each other,
right,
and saw each other all the time at conventions and functions and things. But I thought it was James, because of the Halloween thing. Not a lot of people want a signature or an autograph or a picture with a makeup effects guy, let's be honest,
right,
unless you're Rick Baker or you're Rob Bottin, or you're one of these guys. So I think Halloween opened up the door maybe for that to be a little more doable or fun, I think. And I think James, when you took James on, Sean, maybe James was like, you should talk to Chris, and then we talked, and I don't know, it just
I've always kind of been known as the Halloween guy.
Right.
I started my whole convention career, if you will, just repping Halloween people, because I had just got done doing the 25 Years of Terror documentary. I had everybody's contact numbers, and I just started calling people and saying, hey, would you want to do conventions? And so for my first 2 years of my business, I was literally just the guy that booked Halloween people. So as that grew and grew, and I did the thing with Jamie Lee Curtis, and that documentary was, The Night She Came Home was on the 35th Blu-ray and in the box set, which I did all the bonus features for too, and won a Saturn Award.
Good job.
Thank you. So I've always been connected to Halloween. I've always been the Halloween guy. So it seems like whenever a new Halloween movie comes out, the Halloween people end up coming to me one way or another. Like one thing I'll say about Jamie is she's a great cheerleader for me. She tells everybody. She called me up and was like, okay, I talked to Andy about you. I've talked to this person about you, Dylan. And she tries to hook me up with everybody. She's great.
That's awesome.
So it was just sort of a natural progression that I worked with Chris, and we knew each other and we liked each other. So
of course,
that made it even better. I'm more grateful for our friendship than our business relationship. We become really, really close friends, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's awesome. That's great. So Christopher, Chris, I got to make up my mind which I'm going to call you here.
Just Chris is fine, dude.
Chris is fine. Okay.
You can call me Todd. I don't give a shit.
All right. Bob, what is the
actually, you start using call me Betty.
Okay, Betty. All right, Betty. Like, Boop. When you're working in your shop, what is something that people might find surprising about your process that maybe is different from your counterparts, or is there a process that is there something that you approach or something you've learned over the years that is different, or that maybe seems a little avant-garde as opposed to what is normal in that space, that maybe you do, or your approach that is specific, a Chris Nelson thing?
Wow. That's a good question. I've never been asked that. I've never really dissected my process, so to speak. I've never really gotten into the pathology of it. I don't know. I guess I just always try to approach things, and I guess everybody does. I can't say I'm the only one that does it. I'm aware of my peers' process, but I think I can only speak for what works for me. And that it's very unemotional play. I come from a very emotional creative place. It's not,
Right.
of course it's about aesthetics and design and stuff, but I come from a movie fan and a cinema fan and audience members is how I always approach everything
Right.
that I do. What do I want to see? What do I think other people want to see?
Right.
I've done things that I necessarily wouldn't do if I had my druthers, but I know that audiences will respond to it this way, and it's more favorable than what I would maybe necessarily do.
Right.
So you change it. I get a lot of inspiration from, like I said, how does it make you feel, and how does it work within the context of the story that's being told, and the vision that the director has. And I think not a lot of people do that. It's a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. I think it's just the way that I work. And in the shop, I get a lot of inspiration, not necessarily from past makeup effects. Obviously that's a huge influence, but I think music plays a huge influence in me on how something is going to look. I see colors in music, and I see shapes and textures in music, and I'll listen to a piece of music, and if I'm stuck, there's something that will remind me of a place that I was with a color and a texture that I could throw into what I'm doing, and then it finally finds its home, if that makes any sense. So yeah,
that's really cool. No, that's really cool. I appreciate you sharing that, because I do know that, as an artist, you may have been, if you were self-aware enough to know right off the bat, right? Oh yeah, no, here's my, I realized that it may be something that you wouldn't want to share because it might be very personal to you in terms of not, letting the world know, certain things that are, but I had to ask it because, and give you the opportunity.
It's a
I
very good
want to give
question.
you the opportunity to either say, no, I don't want to say anything. You know what I mean? But I was curious because I mean, your job and people that are in your space are, I mean, it's like you said, I mean, like, you say that, I didn't, not a lot of people want really the autograph of the, effects guy, but the reality is those hundreds of names, as you guys know, that you see scroll up and down the, the screen at the end of a movie are just as important to the the process as anything. And I think what you do is amazing, and you make things come to life that ordinarily you just put that extra special touch on an effect, or help to bring things to life, right?
Well, it's knowing cinema, knowing how to shoot things, how to light things, how to cut things together, and how this is going to cut, and how the director's going to do that. And I can't take all the credit. There's a huge team of people that works on all these movies when it comes to an effects crew. So it's not just me; it's everybody else. And there are 100 guys out there way better than me, but everybody's different for a reason. There's things that make me better than them, and them way better than me. So it's not a competition. It's just different, so, but yeah, there's a lot of people it goes into, and that's something that I don't think a lot of fans realize. There's a guy, a department head or a designer's name ends up being the name that is most frequently seen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that guy did everything. He has a crew of people that support him and that are loyal, and you're all working for the same thing. But I mean, you can't list the whole crew on every single poster or thing. So, so yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it, and that people don't realize. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Amazing. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And you're right. There's, people often forget there is that team that is under you that is doing a lot of the work as well. And I mean, if there's any, and this, of course, I mean making films is a collaborative team effort, and everybody's got to be working together and getting along as best as you possibly can, and to the end result. So no, I appreciate you sharing that, because I do know that it may have been sort of like, oh, I don't know if I want to say anything. So I do appreciate that. And Sean, when we look at Convention All-Stars, is there, what's one thing that you've learned over the years? You've been doing this now for years, and even with your horror hallowed grounds, that sort of, is there something what's the one thing that you've taken away? I know they're two very different things, but they sort of meld together a little bit.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you've taken away over the years you've been doing this now? Because again, when we talked the other day, I was actually surprised to learn, I didn't realize you'd been doing it as long as you had been doing it. So you've been doing this, like you said, since 2005 or 6. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, is there something that stands out to you that is that one thing that you've learned, or something that you are, something that you're always mindful of going forward from here on out, whether it's dealing with, I mean, not to get too personal, of course, but whether it's something that just is like, wow, that's, I didn't realize that before I got into this.
Well, I mean, it's, for me, the thing I think that's most important about anything I've done, and that goes with the convention stuff, Horror's Hallowed Grounds, thing with two heads, is honesty. Is just being honest. Especially now, we're living in a time where every day we're being fed lies. Right. And I've just always prided myself on being an honest, straightforward individual. And I think that, my genuine love of the genre comes through in everything I do. I'm a fan. I don't like to call people that like my stuff fans. I like to call them friends. I mean, I know fan is the generic term, but I consider everybody friends, and we're all fans together,
Right.
And, I pride myself on my honesty, and just doing good business. If you're honest in anything you do, if you do something that's from the heart and you do legitimate good work, you're always going to go forward. You're always going to keep moving upward. And that's always what I've done. I've been approached by Scream Factory to do Horror's Hallowed Grounds episodes for movies I don't like.
Right.
And I turn them down because I don't want to fake it. I don't want to stand in front of a house and be like, this is, and not care. I want to be excited to be standing in front of that house from this movie I love. Right. It's got to be organic. It's got to be genuine. And, so I guess I'm sort of answering your question. I don't know. I've just learned that, just be yourself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
That's right. Be yourself.
That's right. But it's true. And that's a very important thing that can be applied to anything. But it's true. And I can imagine doing what you do and dealing with the people that you do and dealing with, all types of personalities and egos and the whole thing. That, being honest and being truthful at the end of the day, even though it might not be, this is going to be tough, but at the end of the day, I think you feel better about it. And if you can't get excited about standing in front of that house, like you said, then, it's a disservice to you and your integrity, sort of, of how you feel, but it's a disservice to to them as well. Because it's going to show that you're not, like, Sean didn't really seem as excited in this one. I don't know why, you know what I mean? It's kind of strange, Yes. So, no, that makes sense. So it came to my attention, Sean, that I was a little surprised to learn that you had a little run-in with, or there's a, how do you want to say it?
I had a run-in?
Well, not a run-in, but well, yeah, kind of. I don't know if you want to, kind of. Well, let me start here. How about I start?
Yep.
Okay, and
Please
I'll say,
do.
Why don't you
I
start?
just want to say I never met her. I never met her.
All right. Well, she said that she's got 9 kids. No, anyway, that's
Not true. Don't know her.
Yes, sir.
So I was surprised to learn that we had, well, not really exactly something in common, but something that I found interesting, and something that I didn't know. And so about 3 years or so ago, and this is not, I've never met this individual. I can't speak personally. But about 3 years or so ago, I made a YouTube video on this channel when it was really in its infancy. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about Tony Moran, who of course is the unmasked Michael Myers and John Carpenter's Halloween. Now, I don't know Tony through a hole in the wall. I don't want to. I don't.
Nor do you want to. Especially if it's a public restroom.
Oh, jeez. Can I hang on a sec here? I gotta. Here you go. There you go.
Hey.
I should have had that prepared. But I always it came to sort of in my travels on YouTube, I started to notice a commonality with Tony's interviews. Now, I'm not here saying that Tony ever says that he plays Michael Myers in the whole movie or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that he's ever said that. I don't know the man. We've never hung out, never met. But I have noticed that sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say that can be very sort of telling. And I don't know if it's because, I'm a voice actor, I'm an actor, so integrity is important to me, and owning your role and taking credit for what you did do, but not taking credit for what you didn't do is really important to me anyway. And so I always noticed that whenever he was interviewed about Halloween or he would appear at conventions, the naivety of the interviewer or the convention may not know, and they sort of, so I'm here with Tony, who was in John Carpenter's Halloween, and how are you, and blah blah blah, and they would go on and he would talk, but there was never really sort of he didn't preface anything, and he would speak as if he was in the role the entire time, and I just had an issue with that. I mean, and I think the analogy I often use is it would be like Sebastian Shaw, who is the unmasked Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi. If he were alive today, of course, obviously he's long gone. He was old then. And if he was traveling around and being interviewed and we have Darth Vader from, Return of the Jedi here. And it's like, well, yes, from a certain point of view, of course, but never making the distinction, or the interviewers never making the distinction that he was that very incredibly important part, which is the unmasked version of Darth Vader, but that David Prowse, of course, was Darth Vader.
And it's a very significant thing he did. I mean,
own
it, own that moment. I mean, for
100%.
I don't understand why he over the years has felt the need to basically not correct people, because I saw it firsthand multiple times in the short period of time I worked with him.
Right.
I mean, and mind you, he was my first client ever, which is, an interesting thing in itself. But, I remember sitting at a table, fans walking up to the table and describing scenes that he was not in, and telling them how great they thought he was chasing Jamie across the street. And he would just go, yeah, thanks. And I'm looking at him kind of like, really, dude, you're not going to say anything?
Right.
And I said something to him when that fan walked away, and he'd be like, they don't care. And I was just like, wow, okay. And that goes back to, it's funny, we're going into this after the whole honesty thing. Yeah. It didn't jive well with me.
Of course.
It made me uncomfortable. So, but that's
dirty,
a whole nother
right?
thing. I'm sorry?
I said you felt dirty.
Yeah. Because I don't want to be a part of perpetrating a lie,
Right. Yeah. I just always felt that it was like to be the unmasked Michael is something is amazing, and nobody else can say that.
Very significant.
Very significant. And I know there's the brief moment in Halloween 5 where Don Shanks is unmasked and you sort of see his eye and a tear or whatever. But in terms of actually seeing, apart from James Jude Courtney, who we've kind of seen now a bit, but up to that moment, I mean, it was a very significant moment and something that I think anybody would be very proud of to promote and to make sure. Like, I know that Tommy Lee Wallace, for example, as far as I know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but he never signs anything The Shape, I don't believe. I think he leaves that to Nick Castle, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he'll sign photos of himself as The Shape.
Right, but he doesn't use the word The Shape.
No, I don't think he writes that, no.
Right, yeah.
He'll just sign the photo.
Yeah, I saw some interview where he said that, and because he said, I mean, that's Nick. Mm-hmm. You know, I like, I'll sign this with me and, you know, in the closet and all that kind of stuff, but I don't sign The Shape because that really 98% of the time was Nick. So it's just, you know, it's tiny things like that. But I was amazed, you know, to learn that he was your first client. So that's really interesting. I hope, yeah, I don't know. I you know, I don't know if it's going to change or not, but I've always taken issue with that. Because I think it's
I mean, I'm assuming you're kind of referencing the rant he went on online.
Yeah,
a couple weeks back. Yeah.
Yes.
It was up for a day or so, and I guess he took it down. I mean, you know, again, it's kind of interesting that he goes on a rant about me on Facebook when he has me blocked. So I couldn't see it.
Right.
And it was a very incoherent, rambling, and I can say with complete confidence, everything he said in that entire thing, which went on for a long time. I mean, it was like I think within this ginormous paragraph, he challenged me to a fight 4 times, which is like, you know, really, bro, you know, meet me after school in the parking lot. That's where we're at. Okay.
Right.
But there wasn't one single thing in there he got right. I mean, not one single thing, even down to how we met, was wrong. Right. I mean, I don't know, you know, I know he's got a drinking problem, and I don't want to like bash anybody for that. My brother died from alcoholism. My uncle died from alcoholism. Right. You know, I don't want to make fun of that, but I don't know where this pent up anger is coming from. I mean, dude, we haven't worked together in like 13 years.
Right.
I don't get it, but whatever, you know, it is what it is. It's crazy that Michael Myers is literally stalking me out there in cyberspace.
Right. Literally, yeah. Well, I think you've handled it, you know, I mean, you've handled it professionally and you know, and I think you're handling it, you know, the right way. And if Tony's watching, or if he ever does, you know, hopefully cooler heads can prevail and maybe something good can happen down the road between you guys. Who knows?
Yeah. You know, I originally was going to address it. Like after I read that thing, I was really mad because there was a lot of accusations in there, just ridiculous and untrue. I mean, if anybody read it, they would read it. If just look at it, you would realize he contradicts himself multiple times in there.
Right.
And the stories don't make any sense. I mean, there's bonkers shit in there. Something about me contacting his ex-wife while he was my client to get his password to his email. Why would I do that? I mean, why? Right. I mean, you're my client. You're having a falling out with your wife. Why would I contact her to get your password? Why would you think she would, or why would I think she would give it to me? I've never even met the woman. I don't know who the woman is. Never spoken to her in my life. It's all crazy stuff. I have an idea where it's coming from. There is somebody who's an instigator who feeds him stuff. I don't want to get into that whole thing.
Sure. No problem.
But it was just nuts. It was just nuts. I mean, all the way down, like how we met, he had that totally wrong. But anyway, I didn't want to put too much energy into it. You brought it up.
Fair enough.
I addressed it. If anybody wants to ask me about anything, if you saw that rant, if there's something in there you want to ask me about, I'm more than happy to answer you. I got nothing to hide.
Right.
But you know, it's
fair enough.
Sad. It's just sad.
Yep. No, fair enough. I appreciate you taking a moment to address it and at least acknowledge it, and so people can hear sort of where you're at. And like you said, if anybody has a question that you feel comfortable in answering, of course, they're more than welcome to do that. We'll head to your questions soon, guys. So feel free to send in those super chats now or questions that you have, and we will get to them very soon. I have a question for you. Changing gears now to something more light and more positive and fun. With the success of Halloween 2018, of course, making $250-something million at the worldwide box office, becoming the highest
none of that.
You saw none of that.
Yeah.
It's funny because I did for some weird reason. I don't know what's going on here. Because becoming the highest grossing slasher of all time. Do you think that, I mean, we know the situation with Friday the 13th right now. I get this question asked a lot, and I want to throw it out to you guys and get your thoughts on this. Because I know what I've said, but sometimes I get people, I get a lot. People asking me, Dave, do you think we'll ever see another slasher again, an original slasher character, like we did with Jason and Freddy and Michael? And my response, to keep it very short, is usually in the realm of probably not like that, because horror has sort of evolved. You know, years ago, the slasher subgenre was horror. And I think horror has matured a lot. And I don't know if we'll ever see sort of a slasher. I mean, you could look at Art the Clown as somebody who's kind of making that transition a little bit. But in terms of sort of transcending the genre, like what Freddy did and Jason did, and embedding themselves into the pop culture consciousness. I don't know if we're quite there when it comes to slasher movies, because most of the, Halloween that came out is a it's a proven IP. Yeah. And I'm just curious for you guys, do you think that there is room today in 2020 for a new villain to make its way to that level in terms of like a Freddy and a Jason? Or do you think the subgenre has sort of found its home in that B movie? I mean, it's always really been B movie, but sort of really found its home now, not necessarily transcending the genre or pop culture. Do you think it's possible?
You take this, Chris. I was yapping so much.
Oh no, yeah, that's a good question. I think I could go on forever about that. That's something that,
fire away.
We all lament about. But I think there's a lot of angles to look at that. Yeah, I think it's totally possible. I think it's absolutely doable. I think it's happening every day. I think it's happening in film all the time. You just don't see the results of those iconic things until a little later. You know what I mean? Like, and I also think that horror in particular, but I'm always skeptical to talk about horror so separately than the film world, the big cinema picture, in general. They all work together, all genres and stuff, and it's circular, and horror, when it's at its best and most popular and most iconic, it's a reflection of its times and the fear of its times, and the fear of what's happening in the world. I think that you're going to see, because of this pandemic, I think it'll be years before you see it or realize it, but this will be a reflection. This will mold the horror stories that are going to be told coming soon.
Right.
And in the future. But anyway, going back to the iconic stature of things. I mean, look, Christian Bale's character in American Psycho has become iconic. No one that's become a thing. Hannibal,
Ghostface.
Ghostface. You could go on and on. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty. There's plenty. The Saw. There's plenty. Hereditary, even, look at Hereditary. I know it's not an iconic masked slasher, but there are images and characters in there that have become iconic that people rip off and people love and people make pins on and mass up. It's happening around you all the time. I just don't think it's become a little more ambiguous to put a specific face on it, like a hockey mask or a razor glove, or it's become a little more fluid, and it's become a little more cerebral, for that matter. Look at Ari Aster's movies, the Midsommar and stuff. Images in there again that are iconic and classic, and there are
For sure.
I just think that it's still there. It's right in front of your face. It's changed a little bit, and it should reflect what filmmakers are doing and trying, and again mirroring our times and our society and our fears. So I to answer your question without really waxing intellectual about it, I think that it's happening. It still happens. It's never gone away.
Right.
Like, it's still there.
It's just evolved.
I think he's talking more in regards to will we get the huge pop icon slasher like a Freddy, a Jason, a Michael?
Right.
I mean, I haven't seen.
I think you will.
Yeah,
sure.
I think there's always room. I mean, it's really that perfect combination of it has to be an amazing look that fans gravitate to, and B, it has to be an amazing movie. Now, you take something like Terrifier. A lot of fans are gravitating to that Art the Clown because they love the character. The movie itself ain't so great. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's got some good gore in it, but let's face it, is it like a great film? I don't think so. I'm hoping that the second one ups that ante. I have a lot of hope and faith in the second one. A lot of good people I know involved. But, I'm sure somebody's going to come along with just this cool, iconic, because like I know Adam Green tried to do it with Hatchet. I'm not a big Hatchet fan or Victor Crowley fan. I mean, I think the movie's all right. But I don't think Victor Crowley reached iconic status.
No.
I don't think people will be talking about that character in 50 years, but they'll still be talking about Jason, Freddy, and Michael Myers.
Right.
So we'll see. I think it's just that perfect storm of design and story that needs to, it'll happen again.
Yeah.
Yep. No, you're right.
It'll happen. But that Jason, Freddy, and Michael, if we're gonna really talk about that whole subgenre thing, it was of its time. It was the perfect time at the right place. Again, I always say this, that area was a perfect storm of just
I mean, they could have said the same thing back in the 50s. Will there be another Dracula, Wolfman, or Frankenstein, or Mummy, or Creature of the Black Lagoon? And you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, no. And horror has evolved. Like, I tell, my viewers all the time that I say that not like that. Like it's horror is evolving. So like, you said, Chris, it's there, but it's there in different ways now. You know what I mean? And we've certainly entered more of the psychological, cerebral horror realm, which is always really cool.
Which we've done before. Again, it's circular.
Yep.
We've been in that psychological ghost story, haunted house, schizophrenic. We've been through this cycle before.
Absolutely.
We're back at it, and I love it. I think it's 100%. Great. I love that.
For sure. But it's a great point you make about how it being sort of the perfect storm in the 80s, for not just for those characters, but for the subgenre as well, and it was just, it was a perfect time. But will we see characters like that again? I think yes, but it'll be different. It's the same, but it's different.
It'll also be up to, don't you think it's also up to a generation? It's a generational thing. Look, yes. I mean, we're of the age where that was our thing, on top of other things like American Werewolf in London. There was a whole, we were so lucky as far as I think in our age range. I know I speak for me and Sean's, like we had The Thing, and we had American Werewolf in London, and we had so much The Howling. We had so much great stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's generational. And now you look at younger horror fans now who look back on that stuff. They like it. They may or may not, or love it, and appreciate it. But, I talk to horror fans all the time, young and old, and young ones are like, oh, have you seen this? Now, I haven't seen a lot of the newer stuff and these newer characters, because it's just not something that really interests me. I try it, and some of it I like, and some of it I don't, you know, and I don't get it, you know. So I don't have to like everything, right. You know.
No, of course not.
It doesn't all have to be good, I think, you know. And so, but again, I think that it's a generational thing too, you know. I mean, there's things happening now that we get older, we're going to be disconnected to, but the people of young age people now are going to look back and go, oh my God, Terrifier, that was the most iconic thing ever. You know, it's all open to interpretation, isn't it? I mean,
no, for sure. Absolutely it is. And yeah, no, it is. I mean, the generational thing is true. I mean, I'm a few years younger than you guys, but certainly as a young boy growing up through the 80s, and I think my first horror movie I ever saw was I think it was the first Elm Street, you know, when I was about 6, and that's what it was. I mean, I remember actually, I think this was a few years before they released the Freddy mask with the plastic knives, and because I remember taking a winter glove and taping 4 Bic pens to the end of the glove, and I had like a top hat, and I was walking up and down my street. I mean, that in and of itself was a lethal weapon. Awesome. I could inject people with ink, you know, and it was so funny. And you know, the neighbors were like, you know, Mrs. McCrae, I don't think David should be walking around with a glove with all these pens full of ink on them. But I mean, I was a huge fan, and
maybe change the pens to sporks. Maybe that's a little
right. Exactly.
Sport
and I think
monster.
I even thought about putting knives on them, but. But it's true, and every generation has their Freddy, Jason, and Michael, and it's really cool actually to see where the horror genre is going, and how it's continuing to evolve and continuing to mature, and it's just really neat. The other thing I wanted to ask you too is, where do you see? We know where Halloween is at the moment. Obviously, Kills has been delayed till next year for obvious reasons. Whereabouts now do we see if Victor Miller and, you know, Cunningham can get all that worked out? Do you see Friday the 13th? And this is pure speculation, unless you know something I don't, which you can't tell. But do you see them following Halloween's lead potentially in maybe doing a sequel to Friday the 13th, not necessarily a remake? Or do you see them sort of, and when I say sequel, I mean a sequel to one of the original films, negating maybe some of the poorer films? Or do you see it, I mean, some people love, you know, the 2009 film. Mm-hmm. I thought it was fine. I mean, I didn't love it, didn't hate it. I just, you know, but to sort of remake Friday the 13th again, I almost feel like you would be doing that movie again, over again, sort of, kind of, you know? So where do you see Friday the 13th right now? And what do you think is the best course for that franchise?
Well, I think they're probably going to have to start over again. I think they're going to have, they'll probably look at the Halloween thing and say, yeah, we need to just reboot this again. Get it going in the right direction, because I think it's been too long since the 2009 one that people don't really care now about seeing that storyline continue. I think they should probably, just in my opinion, I think they should just start over and, you know, maybe start from the beginning, or even a prequel to the beginning of, you know, what happened to Jason, and, you know, that kind of thing, you know, with his mother and all that. I don't know. I know eventually they're going to want to just get that stupid hockey mask back on him and start making money. So they'll do that as quickly as they can.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
I think there's a million clever ways you could go with Friday the 13th. I think that it hasn't even been tapped yet. I think the surface was only scratched on that, and mostly poorly, to be honest with you. I think there's Halloween 2018, like it or not, it did. They were very, I thought Danny and David were very clever in approaching opening up that world again. I thought, like it or not, you got to say, because I remember when people found out what the plot was, when they said, wait a minute, he's been in the sanitarium for 40 years. Wait, so part 2, and so that's all gone. And so it picks up, wait a minute. And people couldn't wrap their heads around it because we've had so many decades to, you're just taking down this road, and and there's no brakes,
Right.
And Friday the 13th did the same thing. They just went down this road, there were no brakes, and no one stopped for a second and went, what about this? What if we explore this other thread, this other timeline, this other thing that is plausible and actually makes sense? I thought it was a great idea. I thought there was no other way you could do it than to go, he got captured, he's been in the thing. Now, after that, think what you want, but I thought it was great. And so my point is that I do think that will be a type of blueprint for revamping some of these other franchises. I honestly do. Might not do it the same way, but it gets people going, oh, there are more possibilities than perpetuating some crazy road that we went down.
Right.
And I think that Friday the 13th is a great example. I think, oh man, there's so many good things you could do with that. I mean, think about it. Just one off the top of your head. I mean, just use your logic. You have Jason who supposedly drowned. And then in part 2, right, we'll say he shows up, and he's older, and he's Sackhead Jason, which Sean and I, that's our favorite Sackhead Jason.
Oh, he's great.
So where was he that whole time?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
Yeah.
There's a
Jason,
whole time.
the college years.
The college years. He's working it. Yeah. He's working at Amazon. No, but there's a billion ways you could go. Yeah, 100%. You could go. You just have to be clever and smart about it and stop being lazy. Again, it's a reflection of our times. I think it'll be more psychological if they're smart, and I think it'll be grittier and real and more based in reality, and less about the metal spike that lightning hits and it resurrects the zombie. Right. I mean, we all love that, and that's all fun and stuff. But I think we're in a time now where you got to go a different way and try different things and make things. Everything needs to be based in reality. I think that's where we're at right now. And I think if they took that approach, it'll be. You could do something super cool.
It's funny you say
great
that.
Ideas, man. Right now,
it is. It's funny you say that, because one of my, I mean, I like I'm not gonna say I like them all, but I like a few of them, the Friday the 13th movies. But my favorite, funny enough, is the original. Is my favorite, and one of the main reasons why it's my favorite. I mean, it's certainly not a psychological horror film. I mean, it's a slasher through and through, but it has a psychological component to it. And there's that we don't know who's doing this, and the claustrophobic nature of the atmosphere and the darkness and the rain. I mean, one of my favorite moments is when I always forget her character name, the actor that passed away, the one that was in the cabin reading, and she hears, help me, mommy, help me, out in the rain. I forget her name now. She passed away. The chat room.
Yeah, the one that got shot. She's on the archery range.
Right. Yes, her. Yeah. And when you hear like, help me, mommy, in the rain, and you don't know who it is and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just brilliant, and I can imagine in 1980 that would have been just so frightening.
It was. I saw that movie when it came out,
right,
in the theater on the day it opened, and it was, I think from that moment on, what I loved about Friday the 13th and some of its sequels is less of what it really is and what it could be.
Right.
That's my thing about it.
Right.
I Friday 13th, it's not really that great.
No, it's not. No, but if we're being honest, no.
There's enough in there to make you go, oh, I love it for what it could be. It's almost every one of those movies is like that. So
yeah. Do you think there's room? Like I've talked about this on, I have another show I do with this guy, Tony Michael, who lives in Atlanta. We do a podcast called Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, and we just watch movies and talk about movies. And we had an idea, we both thought, and although having said this, or what I'm about to say, we do understand that Jason is the brand. I mean, the hockey mask is the brand, and it might be, I don't know if the studio would, we got it here. Tony and I have always thought of how interesting it would be to go back, as Sean just said, before the original Friday the 13th, sort of, if you're going to remake it, right, and not include it in this new timeline, I thought it would be always interesting to go back and tell the story of Pamela just in that first film. You know, maybe we see, because Jason is not like a character like Mike from is, you know, part of the character. But Jason, on the other hand, we know a lot about him. And I think having a movie where we see him as a young boy, we see Pamela as the chef, maybe, you know, at the camp or whatever it is. And maybe she, you know, there's kind of start there. And the first movie, maybe, I don't know, just something where it's that story. And maybe the first movie ends setting, you know, leading you to believe that Jason is coming next. And you know,
I would have it so Jason drowns in the middle of that movie.
Yeah, right.
Because you have the arc leading up to it,
right,
the actual incidents, and the arc after what happens with her, and you can make it super surreal and weird and fever dreamy, like I said, like 100%. Ari Aster is doing with Hereditary, and like I mean, it could be so disturbing
100%,
psychologically,
for sure. And I've sort of touched on that with people, and most of the pushback is, but Friday the 13th it's this kind of movie, and
that's the thing. There are people that their Friday the 13th is a guy in a hockey mask who's a corpse running around, you know, chopping people to pieces, and that's all fine and well, and I get why you like that. I get that, sure. But I think if you did that again now,
you don't have long.
You either have to go so over the top, like you can't. I just don't think that's I get why people think that's the brand and that's what people want to see. I get that, but I think if you aren't lazy and you make a good movie that is visually stunning and a good story, and it's disturbing and it draws you in, and I think that you'll forget about all that. I think that you can get beyond that. I think it's better.
Agreed.
I think that the biggest hurdle that the Friday 13th franchise has, as well as the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, that Halloween didn't have, is the fact that they've made Jason and Freddy both parodies of themselves by making them silly. Yeah. They've never made Michael silly. They've had silly things around him, like the Busta Rhymes crap, all that. But Michael, the character, wasn't delivering one-liners. You know what I mean? Right. Michael has always been Michael. And thank God, the one thing the Halloween franchise did do right was never took that character into a silly direction. They maybe put him in some silly situations. But, you know, Freddy Krueger doing one-liners, Jason in fucking space, and all this other crap. I mean, it got silly. So getting back to making those characters scary again is going to be hard.
But possible, totally possible.
100%.
You just have to be just smart about it, and you just have to, again, ground it. And that's what I think Halloween 2018 was able to do. It brought it back from the edge and grounded it a bit.
Right. Yeah, no, Freddy especially. That's a good segue into Elm Street, because I've always said that I much prefer Freddy from the first two Elm Street films. And you could make the argument that although the first film is superior in my opinion, and I do like him very much in that movie, and the second film I know I actually really enjoy the second film. It's my second favorite actually in the franchise, despite some of its continuity flaws that some people like to point out. But certainly we cannot deny that Freddy in Elm Street 2 is downright terrifying. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying. And the makeup job they did, you know, with the sunken in eyes and the hook witch nose, and he's absolutely terrifying. And you know, part 3 is sort of that hybrid where it's like there's moments where he's terrifying, but you can start to see the change. You know, there's that change. And then by 4, he's MTV Freddy, you know? And, but I agree. I mean, going back to that, I mean, it's a nightmare on Elm Street, and making like what, you know, Chris was saying in terms of, you know, utilizing the maturity of sort of what's entering the genre now from a psychological perspective to make an Elm Street film that is very psychological and nuanced, and still has the slasher element that people love, but there's more to it. It's more mature. It's not as sort of,
well, you have to think
pedestrian,
about,
you know?
Sorry not to interrupt, but you have
That's
to
okay.
think about where are all those fans at in their lives right now? When you were
That's true.
that age, and Freddy Krueger was the huge popular thing, let's say even 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Where are all the fans that went out in droves and loved those, even a couple generations out of there? Where's everybody at right now in their lives? Well, they have kids and they have careers and they or this and that. So what if you're going to bring that character back? You're going to have it relate to where the fans and those people are now in their lives, and also a younger generation. And what's going to make that scary? And I thought the remake that Platinum Dunes did, they did that, right? Platinum Dunes?
Yes, they did.
I thought had the right idea. I wasn't a fan of the movie. I was a fan of the makeup, and I was a fan of the actor, but I thought they had the right idea, but blew it. But I think that's an important thing is where is everybody at, and what is scary now? Like there was what I always go back to psychological and storytelling and sitting around a campfire and what makes it a great story, you know, what keeps you enthralled. And there was I think I brought this up before, there was a rumor that I had heard that when they were trying to do Freddy versus Jason, all its incarnations over the years before they landed on the one that came out, there was a version that Rob Bottin was going to do. And he was going to direct it, and Rob Bottin was trying to become a director and stuff. But this is what I've heard. I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard it through sources. And the idea for the script was a far more disturbing psychological movie, which was Freddy Krueger was in the movie. He was before he was burnt, and he was abducting kids and killing kids and stuff like that. And one of the kids that he kidnaps is Jason. You know, the deformed Jason as a kid. And Freddy Krueger had him in his house, you know, in his basement. And that was for, I think, years or whatever. I can't remember. But that was the idea between that Freddy versus Jason, which I would watch that in a second. Like, that's a cool idea.
Do you know then, and maybe you don't, but do you know if the idea was Jason already sort of slow or was it Freddy's torture that made him that way?
No, I think he was already, had Down syndrome or something like that, you know, or whatever it was. I don't know. I can't quite, no one knows what his ailment is. He's a deformed kid, you know, whatever. But he's already like that. And so the point is that he supposedly drowned, I think. Right. And they're like, oh, he drowned, he's dead. But in actuality, Freddy Krueger took him.
Interesting. You know, I mean, and again, it's all in the execution, and who knows whether that would have been, you know, rolled out in any sort of great way. But on paper, what you just told me, I'm like, that's interesting. I want to see that. Yeah. You know,
I think it'd be way too disturbing for people these days, though. I don't think I don't think they'd let you make that movie unless it was 100% independent. You know,
right. Yeah,
that's true. They let diddle Down syndrome kids? No.
People don't like that, man.
Well, it's true. You know, I often get asked too. And I know that
flakes.
So,
go ahead.
So people say to me, you know, there's the debate between was he a child murderer or a child molester, and you know, I often say that. Well, I mean, he probably was doing something besides murdering kids that he
originally was
supposed to. Right.
The original script was he was a child molester, and the studio had Wes change it.
Right. But I think if he's a child murderer, I think the subtext there is he's probably a molester anyway, even though we're not saying it, because if you have an infatuation with children and you're murdering children, chances are that's not the only thing you're doing to them.
I think it should be less about any of that. I don't think putting children in harm's way, fictional or not, is a good thing to explore. I don't condone it at all. I think that's you know, but I think the idea that somebody haunts your dreams and stuff. That's what made that work. You know, it's not, you don't want to go too far into reality with something like that. And I think that's a hard thing to do. You know,
it is. And especially today, like, I mean, when, you know, I was a kid growing up in the 80s, and I mean, obviously to market Freddy Krueger is not very marketable as a child molester, you know, and I couldn't be, you know, walking around with, no, and I shouldn't be either. Right. With ballpoint pens on my, you know, my glove, you know.
By today's standards, Freddy Krueger will probably stalk teens on Instagram and just put unflattering comments on their posts. That'll be
a troll. Freddy, he's a troll.
Yeah, Freddy's on Tinder.
That's what he does now.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go with it now.
And just imagine that you can see him with the phone, and you hear the music, dun, 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 and he's like, send.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
that'll be it.
I want to get your thoughts on this too. I get asked this a lot as well, and I'm of, you know, nobody, and I understand it. I get why fans are saying this 100%. It's not lost on me. I totally get it. But certainly I am not of the mindset that the only person ever who could ever play Freddy is Robert Englund. I don't share that same thing. I think what's important for an actor who steps into the role of Freddy, whoever that is, whenever that will be, and whoever that is not to do a Robert Englund impression, of course, but to bring the essence of the character there, so that when we watch the movie, whether we like the movie or not, who knows, but when we watch the movie, we go, well, that's not Robert Englund, but that's definitely Freddy Krueger. Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing. And of course, you know, people don't agree with that. And listen, Harrison Ford will always be my Indiana Jones, but certainly could another actor play Indiana Jones? Well, of course. It's about not doing a Harrison Ford impression, but bringing the essence of the character there. Right. Well, there you go. 100%. And how do you feel about that? Robert is, I think he's 74 or 5 now. What are your thoughts on a new actor stepping into that role? Who do you think, maybe it's somebody we don't even know yet, you know, do you think it should be somebody who's known? I know Robert has casually on, you know, a number of occasions said, I think Kevin Bacon would make a great, but he's 61 or 2 himself. So do you think it should be a known actor, or do you think they should go relatively unknown? Robert was I mean, he had V when he did Elm Street, and he was a character actor, but he wasn't necessarily a known actor or a household name at that time. What do you think about that?
Me? Okay. You know, I think Robert could still play the part. I mean, I think he could, but if you had Robert play the part, you're basically going back to the old Freddy. If you want to do something new, I think you need to go in a completely different direction. I mean, I think you need to redesign the character completely. It just, you know, having somebody else just step in like Jackie Earle Haley did, I don't think would really work. Right. I think you need to completely start over, reboot, totally, you know, new direction. And at that point, you can have anybody play the character. I mean, Kevin Bacon, I think he's doing pretty good in his career. I don't think he needs to put Freddy Krueger on his resume.
I don't think so.
When they were bouncing around people for the Jackie Earle Haley version, one person that got offered the role, who was a client of mine at the time, who I thought would have been perfect, and I still think would have been perfect, was Robert Knepper. He played T-Bag in Prison Break.
Yes.
If you know that face, he has the right look. He also already plays those kind of sleazy, dirty characters. He would be great. Right. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. If we want to bring old Freddy back, Robert can definitely still do it. I've seen him get in the full makeup at a couple of conventions, you know, for photo ops. Like they did one in London, and they did one at Flashback Weekend in Chicago, and he did the full get up and still looked amazing. I mean, he could do it.
Yeah.
But
then don't you, like,
you know, but do you want to keep going in that direction?
Well, that's it. And my worry is too, because of his age. I mean, that's just the reality. But then not that he couldn't continue to do it, but the longevity of the character then, you know, you have to think of as well because of his age. And do you have a passing of the torch, you know, of some kind in the middle of a movie? Or
there's also I want to point out, I don't remember the guy's name. I'm sure one of the fans maybe in the chat will know it, but there's this guy who's been doing him, like a cosplayer guy who's made
Yes.
some, you know, I'm talking about Robert something.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
He looks amazing.
He looks great. He looks good.
And he and his acting, from what I've seen, is pretty good too. I mean, why not give an unknown a shot like that, you know?
I always, when it comes to those types of things, I always like people who are not, because again, Robert in 1984, it's not
Paul
that he was
Bailey. Paul
unknown.
Bailey.
Paul Bailey?
Yeah, somebody said that's his name. Yeah, Paul Bailey.
Yeah, no, I've seen his Instagram, and his makeup is great. Like he does a great job, with the prosthetics and everything. Because I don't think it's
has that, like you were talking about, the awesome part 2 dark, evil looking Freddy look. Which I know is Chris's favorite look too, right?
Yeah, it's the Kevin Yeager makeup. It's amazing. It's my favorite.
It is. Me too. And I wish that because by the time you get to part 6, he looks to
like wearing a store-bought mask.
He's got bubble gum on his face. It's just, and he's sitting there going, he's playing games and he's.
Well, again, I gotta play devil's advocate in that, there's a lot of decisions, and as time goes on through those things, there's more and more people that have input about what he should look like and what he should say and how the movie should, and then it becomes convoluted and ends up what it is. So
of course,
it's
no, you're absolutely right. I mean, 100%. I mean, these things are not, decided in a vacuum, right? And there's a lot of different variables at play of why they move in certain creative directions and make certain
I thought
decisions.
Jackie did a great job.
I thought he did too.
I thought he did a great job.
Just a bad movie.
Just a bad movie. I thought he did a great job. And I think that as far as Freddy Krueger goes, I think I'm more leaning toward, I like the idea of an unknown or a lesser known or something character actor doing it because I think once you put a celebrity in it, you're just watching the celebrity in a makeup, and you're taken out of it. You're not even, you're just, it could be anything. Yeah. And again, it always goes back to, it's just got to be a good story, man. It's totally possible. Just tell a good story. Get off your ass, write a good,
I agree.
Come up with a good take and story, and it'll have a life of its own.
Yeah, for sure. The issue I had with the remake, and I'm like you, I think what Jackie Earle Haley did was fine. I didn't like he was the least of any issue I had maybe with him or whatever was the least of the film's problems. Mm-hmm. And I found for me, it was just, we were thrust sort of, I didn't feel anything for the characters. I didn't feel, although the first Elm Street obviously is not a long movie and they don't have a lot of time to develop arcs. Certainly we saw the downfall of Heather and as Nancy, we sort of saw that with the remake. Things were just very sort of, for lack of a better word, almost emo from the very beginning, and I didn't feel much.
It's very hot topic for you.
Right, exactly. And I mean, the effects were great, of course, but that's what you expect.
Yeah, Andy Clement. I think Andy Clement did all the stuff for that. He's great.
Andy's great. No, it was great. It was really good. All right, hey, it's 2:30. Let's move over to the chat room and see what some people are talking about and see what questions they have. Some super chats have come in. I will head to the super chats first for obvious reasons. And
because they're super.
Because they're super. They're fucking amazing. So here we go.
Super.
Intel Wild sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Intel. And says, hey, Sean and Christopher, love your show. Are you two Black Christmas fans? And have you seen the It's Me, Billy trail? Thank you, Intel. It's Me, Billy is a Black Christmas fan film. I am in the middle of crowdfunding and doing, which is going to be a lot of fun. So Intel is a big supporter, and I guess he was wondering if either of you saw that. So no.
Saw your trailer?
It's an Indiegogo teaser. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I will watch it as soon as we're done.
You should, yeah.
But yes, I'm a huge Black Christmas fan. I did a Horrors Hallowed Grounds on Black Christmas for Horror Hound magazine as a written article, so I've been to all the locations. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, we decided to we're crowdfunding it, not for profit, obviously, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We have you know, we're going to be shooting it as professionally as we can, as a tribute to the original film. It's an unofficial sequel to that movie, which has never been done. And obviously, being Canadian independent filmmakers from Toronto, and the original being a Canadian movie shot in Toronto, we thought there was sort of a nice, you know, romanticism around that. And my buddy and I, who also works in the film industry here in Toronto, we're putting it together. And so far, you know, the campaign has been fairly successful, and we're excited about it. We hope to go to camera. You know, it's a short film, obviously, but we hope to go to camera sort of at the end of November. So it's called It's Me, Billy, and a lot of fun. Really looking forward to putting that thing together. So again, thank you, Intel, for that shameless self-promotion. Appreciate that. Let me see here. Anthony Landry sends in a super chat. Thank you, Anthony, and says, it's a good feeling to see you three together. You are all providing incredible content, fascinating stories, and much needed laughs. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Anthony.
Anthony has been a huge supporter of Chris and I from the first episode, and yeah, we really appreciate it. He's a great guy. He was the guy who the Chris, you might remember, was talking about. He was the essential worker, and about the blood donation stuff. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, very good guy. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate that. Tom Buckingham sends in a super chat and says, everyone is in agreement that Chris knocked it out of the park with the 2018 Mask. Cannot wait for H Kills.
I don't know if everyone's in agreement, but
shit.
It's true. Everybody's saying it, Chris. All the people are saying it. It's the best ride ever. It's
the best
amazing.
Mask ever.
Watch the Mask.
Trump loves it. That's all you need to know.
That's right.
I love the Mask.
I don't. Don't say that.
Oh, that's
Don't
right.
say
Wait
that.
a minute. I'm lying. Anybody don't pick that up.
I'm not lying. What? No.
That's right.
Don't know that word.
It's tremendous. It's great.
Feel very strongly about the Mask. Very strongly.
Everybody can do a Trump. I love it. The film.
I don't even want to try it. I don't even want to try doing Trump because anyway.
The Film Addict sends in a super chat and says, "Hey, Chris and Sean, are you guys a fan of Metallica? Do you have to?" So, that's great. Do you guys have to go song? Do you guys have a go-to song from them? And also, have you ever seen them live? I saw them back in 2018.
Chris?
I was a huge Metallica fan. Huge from day one.
Huge.
Huge fan.
Huge.
Yeah, I was a huge Metallica fan for a very long time. I've seen them many times live. Saw them back on Injustice for All, and I saw them back on Ride the Lightning, and I saw them back on...
you saw them on Ride the Lightning?
Yeah, I saw them during the Black album tour. Saw them Death Magnetic tour. I saw them. I've seen them a lot. I actually
see them with Cliff.
Yeah,
wow.
in San Francisco, and I saw them with. One day I'll tell this story. I went and saw Metallica at the L.A. Coliseum with Quentin Tarantino. Took me for my birthday because he knew I was a Metallica fan.
Amazing.
That story, I'm not going to tell it.
Save it for the show. Save it for our
show. Save it for our show.
Don't give it to his show. Yeah.
But I kind of got away from it. Got away from Metallica. No offense to those guys. I'm sure they're all lovely. I know Kirk Hammett's a lovely man and all that stuff. I think I found doesn't James Hetfield hunt or something? He shoots bears or something, and I'm a big animal lover, and I don't get the hunting thing. So sorry, all you fans out there. It's just not something I get behind. That whole thing, and it bugs me. And you don't have to like it. You don't have to, whatever. But it's just not something. And that kind of really turned me off when I found that out. And I was like, really, dude? And I don't know. But also too, I just kind of gravitated. My musical taste changed so drastically, and it's just not something that I really gravitate towards anymore. I'm all over the place right now. It's hardcore jazz and
what would you say?
Actually, a lot.
Well, what would you say you usually have on in your shop as you mold and create magic?
all over the place. Could be The Clash, could be Queens of the Stone Age, could be Otis Redding, could be Sam Cooke, could be
Nice.
Gene Vincent, could be the Raconteurs, it could be
Whatever you're feeling that day.
yeah, it's all over the place. I love
Very cool.
music. I just love music. Yeah.
What about you, Sean? Metallica.
Yeah, I was a huge Metallica fan. I saw them first on the Master of Puppets tour, so I got to see them with Cliff also before he passed. So that was my first Metallica show. I've seen them a few times. Saw them on Death Magnetic also. Probably, I had a buddy of mine was actually going to get tickets today. Tickets go on sale for they're doing a drive-in theater thing where they're doing a live concert, I guess, broadcast at drive-ins. So it'll be their only show of 2020. So yeah, I am a fan. As far as what I like to listen to, my musical taste is kind of all over the place too. I love Mr. Bungle. I'm a big Kiss fan, as you can tell, behind me. Oh, is it over there? Old school Kiss, classic old coin era Kiss.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm a huge fan of a band called Deadsy, which is they are reforming and coming back. So keep an eye out for them. Descendants is one of my favorite bands. I'm sure I'm forgetting. Psychedelic Furs just put out a new album I'm loving. The Coupe de Villes, of course. But yeah.
That's right. The Coupe de Villes. Do you guys still do you collect vinyl?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have a lot of vinyl. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, there it is. The Coupe de Ville still, and it looks like it's still wrapped.
Still sealed.
Still sealed.
The Coupe de Villes.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
If you look over here, you'll see a lot of vinyl. I mean, I'm trying to do my best. That's all. Yep. That's just some of it.
That's awesome. Amazing. Yeah. Very cool indeed. Let me see here. Chris Snyder sends in a super chat. Thank you, Chris. Says, hey, Dave, Chris, and Sean. At work right now, just stopping by to say hello. I will watch the whole stream later. Will Chris have a cameo in H Kills? I don't know if Chris can answer that, but I believe your character, at least from the 18 movie, I don't think it would be him.
He's pretty dead.
He's pretty dead.
Officer Francis is pretty dead.
Yes, he is.
Officer Francis will not be making a reappearance. I can't really talk about Halloween Kills, but no, I'm not in that.
Yeah. There you go.
Unfortunately, both Chris and I have signed NDAs that we cannot talk about the film. He obviously signed one because he worked on it, and I signed one because I visited the set. So
that's right.
I can't even talk about rumors.
Yeah. We would love to talk about Halloween Kills, and I'm looking forward to the day to doing that. But I'm sorry, guys, but we just can't. But I'm very excited about all this stuff to talk about, but we just can't do it right now. So sorry.
I don't want to get sued.
Yeah. Apologies.
It makes sense. Let's see here. Tyler Davis says, what is your favorite mask from the franchise? I assume you mean Halloween mask. Michael Myers mask.
Number one.
Me too.
First one.
Obviously number one, but I guess let's because that's the obvious answer.
Right.
Not part one. What is your second favorite mask? And part two is the same mask, so you can't pick part two.
True.
And I'll have to go Chris's mask excluded because obviously.
Ooh. Yeah,
well, you can't pick your own mask.
You're absolutely right. I'm right there with you. Absolutely. Yeah, we can't. We'll take that out of the equation.
So 2018 and part 1 and 2 out of the equation. What's your favorite mask? What would be your fourth favorite mask?
I don't have one. I can't.
You don't like any of them?
Not really.
I would go with the Beekler part 6 mask. It has a quality to it I kind of like.
I can't even remember. There's one that I was like, oh, it's not so bad.
I think the Winston H2O is okay.
Yeah.
But the Resurrection, the KMB H2O, the part 4 and 5.
What about the digital one? You like the
digital one? Rocks. I was just hoping that I was hoping
I liked him. I liked the one where the one where he's wrapped in the hospital bandages. I thought that was great. I thought
that counts as a mask, I guess.
It counts, right? It doesn't really, but
what would it have been like if they had decided to just use the bandages for the whole movie?
Where he's like a mummy.
I know.
Yeah.
Would have been awesome.
Mummy Myers.
I'd have bought that more than some of those other masks. I'd have been like, okay, you're going another way. It's like, but I'm the guy that when they came out with Halloween 3 and Michael Myers wasn't in it, I was like, sweet. Like, I like that idea of making a Halloween movie every year. I'll
tell you what, I went and saw Halloween 3 at the theater with my Aunt Robin. She took me. I was so fucking pumped, man. Pumped. And I'm watching the movie and I
pumped.
Dude, I was, and I was flexing. I was doing all my aunt is like, Sean, why are you flexing in the theater? It's dark. Nobody can see you. I didn't care.
You're topless.
Mom, look, Mom.
I full on Hulk Hogan, ripped my shirt open. I did the whole thing. But I'm sitting there and I shit you not, about, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes into it, I was like, did we go in the wrong theater? Because I was like so confused. I was like, where's Michael Myers? I don't think we're in the right movie.
How did you feel when you saw him on the television?
It's so funny because I already knew Michael Myers wasn't in it before I even went to the movie.
I had no idea. I had no clue. I had no clue. I mean, the only thing that we had back then was Fangoria, and I must not have read the most current issue because I had no idea.
Right.
I went into it thinking I was getting a Michael Myers movie, and I was like, "Go!"
So you were no longer pumped.
The funny thing is, I left just so upset that I didn't enjoy the movie. But then when I went back and revisited it, now it's one of my favorite movies. I love Halloween 3, but at the time, it was just shock.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, because this is a good segue into this, and it's a good way to piggyback on this. Halloween 3, of course, is usually, the black sheep of the family, right? Because it's that anthology route that didn't work. And I like Halloween 3. I can't say that maybe I like it as much as you guys, but I certainly like it. But I think what I like about it is the potential of the sandbox they were playing in. But I sometimes think
what it could be.
Right. Exactly, Chris. Exactly. And, I sit there and I think.
Did I say that earlier? I said
you did. And because I sometimes think maybe because of budget and, obviously it's a smaller film. I think that remaking this movie, maybe not connected to the Halloween franchise, maybe it is, and that's a talk for another time. But certainly, I think the idea of what is in Season of the Witch, I think if they had a bigger sandbox to play in, there's so much more potential to expand that mythology. And I've always, I think whenever I watch the movie, that's what resonates with me the most. I like it, but I'm usually there's more here. There's something here. And I can't help but think that maybe it was just, it was just ahead of its time. I mean, nobody knew what an anthology was up until maybe about 10 years or so ago.
I'd love to see a sequel to Season of the Witch. I mean,
do you think a sequel or do you think a remake?
A sequel.
No, I wouldn't remake it.
I
wouldn't remake it. Yeah.
30 years later, all these children were killed. Let's just go with that theory. And then, new families have grown up and maybe somebody's trying to rally to get trick-or-treating going again because Halloween's been banned because of what Connell Cochran did. And I don't know. Maybe. We'll figure something out. Let's make it happen.
I'm just tossing this out there.
Yeah.
Maybe
I like the idea. I love the idea.
Maybe when Halloween ends, and David Gordon Green and company wrap up their quadrilogy. Maybe that's a potential option on the is there something we can do with this? Because I bet you there are a lot of people out there that would be very interested in that. I don't know if it's viable. I don't know if there's enough of a demand for it, but certainly it's niche-y enough that it might be interesting to explore.
I think now it's easier, probably not easier, but you could get away with doing an anthology called Halloween, using the Halloween brand and doing a different movie every year, expanding on that one or whatever. I think it's
Yeah.
back, like you said, back then people were like, what? And I think you were so attached to Michael Myers. But again, I don't know. People are still very attached to Michael Myers,
They
trust
are.
me. And so if you did something without him,
I brought this up too. I said, you know, what would be a cool idea is if you do enter and this is just me, you know, spitballing really at the end of the day, but I thought what would be interesting is that maybe you take the old Charlie Bowles story from the original Halloween when Loomis is walking with the graveyard, you know.
He took a hacksaw.
That's right.
He kissed his
And then my
wife and
dog
his two
barked. What
children goodbye, and then he proceeded to.
And we don't know what the hell he proceeded to do. And I think that, you know, I mean, obviously you can kind of fill in the gaps, but that's interesting. Like old Charlie Bowles, and maybe you set it in the Halloween universe so that, you know, people feel like it's connected. Like maybe Charlie has to drive to Haddonfield to, you know, visit his bank or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's something. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know. Old Charlie Bowles and his hacksaw, you know?
I mean, there's so many things you can do.
There's so many things you can do. Yeah, you're right.
Do a Ben Tramer movie, you know?
I would like to, I lean towards, let's just be a little more creative and do new stuff.
Yes.
Can we not keep revisiting old characters?
Agreed.
And something? And I mean, look, I meaning, even if it's even if you're staying within a franchise and stuff, let's just move forward, or everything doesn't always have to be connected, does it? We're more intelligent and creative than that.
Could not agree more with that.
I want to see a whole movie about the kid that had the razor blade in his mouth in part 2.
I want to see.
I want to see an Elrod movie. I want to see.
Dude,
what happens after he takes the knife to the bloody sandwich?
Mayonnaise.
Does she eat the sandwich?
Yes.
Does Mr. Elrod eat the sandwich?
Dude, I don't know about you, but I want to see a Mr. Riddle movie because he's 87 and he can still watch. And and I want to see him watching all through his 40s as well. I mean, that's what I want to see.
How about this? I got it, guys. Take a family aspect. I want to see a whole movie from the perspective of Lester the dog.
Yes.
There you go.
And
it's and it's animated.
Yeah, and he talks, of
it's
course.
Anime.
And he talks.
What it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Does he get stuck in the laundry room? Does Lester get stuck in the laundry room with no water or a bowl of food?
I want it to be like that Harrison Ford movie that just came out. It's a CGI dog. He talks. And he's trying to alert Annie and them to, hey, there's this guy that's been hanging around the backyard. You know, he's trying to tell them.
You know what? Let's cast Harrison Ford in it. I mean,
how about Harrison Ford do the voice of Lester?
There you go.
Hey, there's a guy out here. You know,
and you could, and the
Michael?
tagline will be Lester. He can smell fear.
Yeah. Ooh, man, good tagline. I'm.
Wait a minute.
All over.
What about the dog that Michael killed in the Myers house? That Brackett says, "What's that? It's a dog."
That's why Lester's trying to get revenge for
right.
that dog. It was a friend.
That was his buddy.
That's right.
That's right. Okay.
These are all really solid idea, guys.
You know, I never thought about though. Was that dog that we find in the house, was that supposed to be Lester? Did he drag the dog over to the house to eat it?
Didn't that happen before we saw Lester kill?
We never saw Lester's corpse.
Holy crap. The fans are going to be pissed that we didn't answer their questions. Let's answer.
Oh, yeah. Let's get back to the questions. Go ahead. Back to the questions.
If there are any out there. I'm just assuming
there were some. Keep going, Dave.
We can get lost. We can get
probably
lost.
everybody's gone now.
That's right. That's right.
These fucking guys are just riffing on
Lester, Queen Cujo, and funny enough,
my question is how dumb are you guys? God.
Well, coincidentally enough, the next question here is from Queen Cujo. So speaking of dogs, do you guys ever get a fanboy moment when meeting celebrities that you idolized growing up?
Sure.
Yeah. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really geek out. I'm pretty cool under those situations, and it kind of goes with the job I do. It's funny is I don't geek out over the big stars. I geek out over the stupid, like obscure one. Like for me, you know, people are like, oh my God, I want to meet Jamie Lee Curtis on this and that. To me, like I want to meet Chris Makepeace from Meatballs. who's a Toronto resident, I hear, and he's like my white whale. I love Meatballs, I love Bamp, and I love My Bodyguard, and I want to meet that guy someday. If anybody out there knows how to get a hold of him, I want to meet Chris Makepeace.
Christopher Makepeace.
Christopher Makepeace.
Yeah.
All right, I'm writing this
Rudy
down.
the Rabbit. And
okay,
Chris, you?
I do. It's kind of like Sean. It's usually someone obscure. Like it's like, oh my God, it's that man, and that sets me off. Or musicians. I geek out more about musicians than I do actors so much. But yeah, I get it all the time. I'm a fan of all of it. Sure, man. I geek out all the time. I geeked out. I think last time I really majorly geeked out was I was working on American Horror Story, and Stevie Nicks came to set. She did a cameo, and I was like,
my girlfriend would have lost it.
I just lost my mind. I was like, Stevie Nicks. And then Stevie Nicks was sitting on set playing the piano that was on the set and playing. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
That's amazing.
So I geek out all the time.
It's funny, as I obviously don't have as much experience in meeting those types of people as you guys do. As a voice actor, I spend most of my time behind a mic and whatnot. But I remember a couple of years ago when I attended the Voice Arts Awards at Warner Brothers, and I was nominated, and I was walking the red carpet, and Sigourney Weaver was there, and she was walking. I think she was not right in front of me, but she was like one person in front, and I was there, with my girlfriend. I'm sitting there, and and I kept, looking over at her because I just was so enamored of, my God, that's Sigourney Weaver. Holy fucking crap, that's Sigourney Weaver. That's fucking Ripley right there, And I think there's some photos of me looking away from the camera because I'm so enamored with, whoever's over there. So it's it is a cool experience, for sure. But that's sort of my, and then I was staying at the Roosevelt on Hollywood Boulevard a few years prior to that for the same reason. And we were coming down the steps. I think it was the night we were going to the Voice Arts Awards, actually. And we were coming down the steps, and behind me, I could hear somebody talking. And the voice sounded so familiar, like so familiar. And I'm like, I know that voice. So then when we get to the bottom of the steps, my girlfriend and I sort of move off to the side because we're waiting for them to take our car around. And who comes down behind me? But it's Kurt Russell. And he's in a tuxedo, and he's with an older guy. And people were like, did you go over to him? And I'm like, nah, he's with I don't know who he's with, but I don't want to be that guy. Like he was sort of, I was there. I was like, oh, that's so cool. That I don't know what he was doing there, but he was going somewhere because his sedan, not his sedan, but his, like an Escalade or whatever, rolled up and away he went. But that's sort of, there's a couple more, but other than that, I haven't had too many, but yeah, it's cool for sure. Johnny T sends in a super chat and says, hi guys, thoughts on The Collector as a new slasher? I haven't seen it, but have you guys seen it?
I've seen both of them. Have you seen them, Chris?
I haven't seen them.
Yeah, I've seen The Collector and The Collection. My two buddies, Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan, made those films. And I enjoyed both. I thought the first one was a little, my issue with the first one was a little dark. As far as it was dark. The movie was dark. Like you couldn't see a lot of the stuff. Maybe I saw it bad projection. I don't know. I haven't revisited it, but I actually really had a lot of fun with the sequel. I thought it was just a lot of fun, and I enjoyed both movies. And I know they were just going into production on a third one when they ran into some union issues in Atlanta, and because Tom Atkins was going to be in it, it got shut down, and they were working on getting it back up, and then the COVID thing started. So I don't know if that project's dead, but they were getting ready to do a third one, which I think it was. So it was The Collector, the Collection, and The Collected, maybe, or something. What the third one was going to be called. I don't remember. They were, anyway.
That's cool. I haven't seen them at all. Have you, Chris, seen them? Or
no,
you haven't seen them.
I haven't seen them. I would like to. I hear good things about them, so I'll sit down and check it out. So
you should check them out. I think you'd enjoy them. Cool.
Darren sends in a super chat, just a super chat. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate that. David versus Goliath sends in a super chat and says, "Hey guys, Rumpelstiltskin 1995. Your thoughts?" I don't even know.
What? Oh,
he just
the
says,
movie Rumpelstiltskin?
Maybe from 1995, perhaps.
Never saw it.
Me neither.
Losing my cred. I haven't seen that either.
No.
It
Chris
sounds.
Faber,
It sounds very zesty.
it does.
Sounds
Maybe that's
moist.
the title of the movie. Rumpelstiltskin 1995. Chris Baber sends in a super chat. Thank you, Chris, and says, question for you both. Chris, what film, other than The Thing, do you think has the best practical effects? Sean, will you ever finally do a movie location video, finally, for Robert Russler?
For Robert Russler? Well, Chris, you go first.
Maybe
What do I think has the best practical effects other than The Thing?
Correct.
There's tons. Where do I begin?
American Werewolf in London.
American Werewolf in London. I thought Scanners had some amazing stuff. The list goes. I mean, are we talking makeup? Are we talking like all of Dick Smith's work, like Amadeus and stuff like that?
Right.
Altered States. I'm a huge fan of stuff in Altered States. That I think it's a movie that doesn't get a lot of credit. Seven has some really cool stuff. Rob Bottin's work, and the list goes on. I mean, Total Recall had great stuff, practical effects. There are tons of movies that have really amazing practical effects that people, we always go to the main ones, but and Carl Fullerton was always great, who did the second Friday the 13th.
Jason.
And I thought there's a slit throat in Friday the 13th Part 2 that is the best slit throat I've ever seen to this day. Where the guy's hanging upside down, and it's the best slit throat to this day. No one's done it better. It's great. God, there's so many, and I love practical effects, and I love that it's had a resurgence in the past few years, and that we're so busy. I'm sorry, when people ask me questions, my mind races so fast.
That's okay.
That nothing swims to the surface. But yeah, I'd say those movies are great. Yeah, there's so many. And back in the day, they were great. I mean, look at the Frankenstein makeup as a beautiful, amazing practical effect. Look at tons of great stuff in all the Hammer films, and there's tons. But
for sure,
most recently, I think. ProRen's doing some great effects. And what's the most recent thing that I was like, damn, that's some good stuff. I can't remember. I'll come back to you. Anyway, Sean.
Yeah, no problem.
I just looked up Rumpelstiltskin, by the way. I totally recognize that video cover, but I never saw it. I'm going to have to definitely check it out. So the question, I'm reading it here, will you ever finally do a movie location video finally for Robert Russler? And the answer is yes, but it's not the one you're asking about, which would be Elm Street 2. We're going to do Thrashing. So, yeah.
Cool.
So we're going to do a Hollywood's Hallowed Grounds on Thrashing. So
nice.
I'm not going to give into that Elm Street 2 nonsense.
You're not going to pander.
Yeah.
You don't pander.
It's got to be like your, Jimmy Kimmel, Matt Damon thing, right? Where it just kind of,
That's our thing. That's our thing.
That's it. Mark Williams says, surprise, surprise, I have a Halloween question. Well, we'll see if they can answer it. For our Lord and Savior, Christopher Nelson, did you...
Jesus.
Jesus is right. Did you personally like the original Halloween? Did you personally like the original Halloween 2018 ending more, or the reshot ending of Michael Burning?
That's a good question. I liked them both. I really liked the original ending. I really liked it. That was, again, more my speed. I thought that's, to me, that felt natural to me, keeping it in a grounded world. I like the new ending. I see why it works. I see why they did it. I see why David did it, and I think it works great. I think don't get me wrong, but I preferred the original ending because it was very surreal and it was very dark and it was very to me it was satisfying. And
Right.
you know, people always I've also been asked questions like, if you're going to kill Michael Myers, if it was your choice, how do you think he should die? And I was like, I think he should have a heart attack. I'm not kidding you. I think he should literally have a heart attack and drop dead. That's how Michael Myers dies. And if you think about that and let that digest, I think you'll find that it works. But it works. I do like the original ending a lot, and it's really cool. I've seen it. It's really cool.
I've only read about it. Do you think? Obviously, do you think that there will ever be do you suspect that there will be an opportunity at some point for fans to see that original ending on a future DVD release? I
don't know.
Like
I couldn't tell you. That's a David Gordon Green, Ryan Turek question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Universal question. I think it would be cool. I would like for people to see it, or I would like to see it again. But I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Based on this franchise's long history of repackaging,
you probably will.
You probably will. I can't imagine they would let a few dollars slide by not putting it out at some point.
I agree. If there's money to be made. Yeah. Frank Riker says, Chris, I'm a big fan of the movie Bad Moon and your practical effects, but what's your opinion on green suits and CGI taking over for makeup? The Cats movie digital fur, for example,
looks so good.
Oh boy. Well, I didn't do Bad Mood. Wasn't my movie. I worked for Steve Johnson's XFX on that movie and did a couple gags for the movie and helped with the werewolf. But I can't take all the credit for Bad Mood. But it was fun to work on. It was cool, and it's over time it's grown on me for sure. As far as green suits, and I think it has its place. I mean, we're way beyond green suit stuff. I think we're just referring to visual effects. I know I work on a lot of the Marvel movies, and you have Josh Brolin walking around in a spandex suit with ping pong balls glued all over it, thing that captures his every movement. And I mean, the stuff is so technologically advanced right now, you wouldn't believe it. Like now we can be on set and have somebody in the motion capture outfit and everything, and on the monitor that the director's watching, we're able to see that character animated between there and here and moving exactly. So on the monitor, you're watching not the finished product, but something relatively close that's taking the place of the actor. So I think it's great, and I think it has its place. I don't think it's you don't have to use it for everything. As far as the Cats thing, I thought should have been a lot more practical than maybe what it is. I haven't seen the movie, but I think it has its place. I think it works the best when they work together. I think swinging the pendulum one way or the other doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. Depends on the context of the effect. But I think when working together, why not? You can't get any better. So yeah,
agreed.
I love the werewolf in Bad Moon. I think it's a cool werewolf. I did all the bonus features for that Scream Factory release, by the way.
Nice.
Anyway.
Nice. No, nice.
It was actually a blonde werewolf. It was like it was a blonde werewolf. It was, and Steve, that was Steve's idea. He was like, I want to do the first blonde werewolf. So it was great.
I didn't care for the CGI transition stuff, but the actual suit stuff and the actual practical makeup that made it in was amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Real Reveal, REEL. I see what you did there. Real Reveal. Real Reveal says, I have a question for both Sean and Chris. How was it, or what was it like maybe, working with Jamie Lee Curtis? She sounds like a down-to-earth, kind soul.
Well, she's a class act, man. That is a classy, professional, smart, intelligent, strong woman. That she's a badass. That's all I gotta say. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She looks
Yeah.
like it.
I have to echo exactly what Chris said and just say that, I mean, it's been such a massive honor to have been able to work with her, and call her a friend. It's just something that blows my mind as a fan, as long as I've been a Halloween fan and Terror Train fan and Fog fan, Prom Night, all of them, Trading Places, Fish Called
True
Wanda, True
Lies.
Lies. You can go all day long. I mean, to call her a friend and have the honor to work with her is just I have to pinch myself constantly. It's really cool.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Everything that you think that she may be or want her to be, she is, and then she exceeds that. And she's a terribly generous person and a huge-hearted person. And just because we've work with her, or see her, or whatever, a lot of times there's lip service at times, but she's really the genuine deal, I gotta say.
Right.
And yeah.
Very cool. Southpaw82 says, hey, y'all. Sean, I know you have tons of prized collectibles, but do you have a number one favorite? If not, what is your holy grail you would like to obtain?
I think my favorite prop is the Poltergeist clown, just because I think it gets the best reaction from people, because it terrified so many people growing up that when they see it, they go, oh, fuck. How could you have that in your house?
Right.
But as far as like a holy grail, I mean, there's so many, man. There's so many. I can't even begin to obviously the original Myers mask, if it wasn't in the condition it's in now, would be number one on my list. But looking at it the way it is now, it just makes me sad, because it's falling apart. And
right.
But the original Elm Street glove would be insane.
Is that available somewhere? Does somebody?
I don't know. I don't know who has it. The Alex's cane from Clockwork Orange with the knife that detaches, that would be pretty cool. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris? Is there something that you'd love to own?
Oh God. Yeah. There's I would love anything from The Thing.
I was literally just thinking Spiderhead would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing, but it doesn't exist. I'm a huge fan of Meg Mucklebones from Legend.
Robert Picardo.
The Howl. I don't know. Yeah, there's tons of stuff. I would love the cane from the Universal's Wolfman. It would be amazing. There's so many.
That's pretty cool. Hey, listen, this will be the last question because we've just hit just over 2 hours here. We've been rocking it. So Brandon Gregory says, Christopher, did you come up with the iconic look of Twisty the Clown on your own? I must say he is my favorite AHS, I'm assuming that means American Horror Story, character of all time.
Mm-hmm. No, I did not come up with that on my own. That was so again, it all starts with Ryan Murphy. Has an idea, ideas get thrown around. David Anderson, who is an amazing effects guy and a friend of mine, initial designs based off of lots of ideas Ryan had, and then it gets filtered down to us and Aaron Kruger and Mike McCash and myself, and we go in and we do test makeups, and then I remember we did the first test makeup for Twisty the Clown. Well, we had the face, which was done already, that was designed, and then we did a makeup and we used actual clown makeup, and we went to set, and Ryan liked it, but wasn't quite what he was thinking. So I went back and I weathered the mask and dremeled it, did all this stuff, and then soiled his makeup and took a completely different approach to it. And that's what Ryan responded to and what it ended up being. So there were a lot of hands in Twisty, but myself and Mike McCash did his makeup every day, did it all the time. We did it anytime you see Twisty, that we did that. And I got to say, a testament to that makeup and that character is John Carroll Lynch, who that guy is such an amazing actor, and his eyes and his face, like Twisty wouldn't be Twisty without John Carroll. You couldn't put anybody else in that makeup. And that's what, makes it so great and makes that character so great. It's not, makeup's good. The actors is perfect. You put it together, that's when it works the best. So, but I was so lucky to have a hand in it, and there are things about it that are mine, but I can't take the credit. No, that's all Ryan Murphy and all the powers that be. So
there's a lot of people firing on all cylinders. Listen, Sean and Chris, I really appreciate you doing this. This has been a lot of fun. You guys are amazing. Your wealth of experience and knowledge is just awesome. And I think I've learned, well, not I think, I know I have. I've learned a lot even just sitting here listening to you guys talk, and it's been great. Is there anything, before I let you guys go officially, is there anything, like, what are you, that you can say maybe that you're starting to work on, Chris, at all? Is there something you're about to work on, you're going to be working on that you can talk about?
I've been working on personal projects, but I have a list of films that are supposed to anytime now get back going. I mean, we were supposed to be doing Halloween Ends this year, but I don't think we're going to get to that. So, unfortunately, I was supposed to be prepping that right now. Actually, I was supposed to be building for it and designing for it. I do. I have a lot of films actually in the pipeline. It's just a question of when. We don't know. It's ever changing every day. And I hope I just had a meeting yesterday about one that's coming back. So I'll be starting that. I can't really talk about it.
Cool.
But it's a smaller film and it's going to be cool. But I got a lot coming up. I wish I could say it all what it is, but I can't. And,
but the good news is you're about to get busy again. Let's just say that.
Well, I hope so. I hope if everyone puts your damn masks on and we can get past this thing, let's do it. You just want to see some cool movies. Let's get back to work, man.
100%. Sean, what about you? I know the convention scene obviously is sort of, it's gone virtual. Like, a lot of conventions are starting to go virtual because of this. Is that something that you have interest in, or do you think is a good idea, or do you think we should just sort of wait? Are you shaking his head? No, folks. I'll let him go off here.
Yeah. No, I think the virtual con thing is stupid. I think the whole purpose of a convention is like-minded fans getting together in person, sharing their love of the genre, going through all the vendors' tables and buying cool shit, meeting the celebrities in person, having that interaction. I think the whole virtual con thing is just dumb, and I'm not really into it. I'm not really behind it. And I haven't really been a part of it. I'll be honest with you. I'm a businessman, and it's my job to make my clients money. And I've been paying attention to how that stuff's been going, and it's not really going that great. It's kind of a waste of time. Really, I mean, there's a few bucks to be made, but it's corny. And I personally would rather just sit this out. Let's wait until things get back to normal, and let's go in swinging. And so we'll see what happens in the convention world. Hopefully, we'll get that rolling again. I've already started booking things for next year. Hopefully, fingers crossed that those come back.
Yeah.
As far as other things I'm doing, obviously, Chris and I would love you guys, everybody who watches this, to come check out our show, The Thing with Two Heads, over on my channel, which is Malfunction.
There it is. I was just about to ask you to put the link into the chat if you can to your
yeah, I guess I could do that.
Channel, and then make sure you go over there and subscribe too, guys.
Yeah, subscribe that shit. Daddy needs some socks.
Unsubscribe from me and subscribe over there.
And as far as other projects, I've been doing the daily collection thing, which has turned into the weekly collection thing. So working on a new one of those, and I have a couple new Horrors Holograms that I will be working on soon. I'm going to do an episode on Lost Boys and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and then the Hollywood's Holograms with Rustler. We're talking about doing Thrashing. So I have things in the pipeline, and I have time to actually do them now. So the only downside to all this, if you guys are enjoying all this content I've been throwing out there, once conventions come back, it's definitely going to slow down for the content. That's the only downside, because, we got to go back to work.
Right, of
Send it
course,
back to
of
work.
course. There, I just put the link to your channel in
Oh,
the
did
chat
you? I
room.
was gonna
did.
do it. I was gonna do it.
Yeah.
Go to his
Oh, I'm
channel,
sorry.
subscribe, watch our
I'm gonna
show.
do it anyway. I want to do it too.
Ask us questions. You can say hi. Come follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. What's my Instagram handle? At C Nelson Effects.
I don't
C
know.
Nelson Effects. C
At
Nelson
C
Effects.
Nelson Effects. I think
But my
is
shit's
handle on
easy because
Instagram.
it's just this. It's just
Malfunction.
It's literally malfunction on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's
There it is.
/ malfunction. It's
I'm
already-
not on Facebook and I'm not on Twitter, so don't.
So if you want to start a fake Chris Nelson account on any of those platforms, go for
You
it.
can do it. You can do it.
Great.
Actually, I've already done
Thanks.
it now. While you guys were talking,
Awesome.
I made one up. No, but this has been great though. Like I really appreciate it, and it's been a lot of fun, and we'll have to do this again down the road at some point when things obviously maybe aren't too busy. But I would rather actually it be busy for everybody. So it's been great, and I really appreciate your time very much, and it's just been a lot of fun. So
Thank you for having us. We really, I mean, this is the response. Excuse me. The response to our show. You know, we're only 5 episodes in, and you know, we've got clickbait ads about us, so we're getting invited on other shows. I mean, it's obviously taken off quick, and we appreciate the support, and we appreciate people tuning in.
Yeah.
And really, that's what's motivating Chris and I is you guys responding to it makes us want to keep doing it. Because if nobody was watching, we'd probably like, I guess we should probably not do that anymore. So
right.
Yeah.
No, I get
Well,
it.
thank you.
Totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
no
Thank
problem.
you so much for having us. It's really cool to be here. And
For sure. Anytime.
you'll-
Awesome.
tomorrow, we'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Folks, I'll be back not probably till Monday night at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode, what are we up to, 80-something of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. So make sure you tune into that. Of course, Tony and I will be watching, what are we watching? We're watching, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. We'll be doing that. So that'll be a lot of fun, and that's 7 p.m. Eastern Time here on the show. So that'll do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, we will talk to you guys soon. All righty. Cheers.